Hi everybody, welcome back to Bentley House. I'm Ara, and because this week is Thanksgiving week, I'm taking a little bit of time off from making things, but I did want to show you something I made this past summer. I entered a contest where you had to make something from popsicle sticks or craft sticks. And this is what I came up with. I didn't end up winning the competition or even placing, but I learned a lot in this process. And if you're wondering, does he have a tiny compartment for 1/12 scale miniature men to fit into? Of course he does. I will be getting back to my regular projects next week when we get back from break, but for the meantime, I really hope you enjoy this video. The first thing I did was create an interior structure made out of mat board, and there is a hole in the middle because later I will want there to be an opening in the middle of the horse. Then I stuffed it with tissue paper and paper towels and wrapped the entire thing in masking tape. I'm going to need some different sized popsicle sticks or craft sticks, a large thing of water to soak them in, a cutter, a wood cutter, some tacky glue, and different sized rubber bands. After the sticks have soaked in warm water for about an hour, they are ready to start using. And I just went around the legs first using the longest craft sticks that I had. The rubber bands are helping them shape to the form that's underneath. After that, I'm going to make sure I let them dry, and I did all 4 legs to start with. This process takes a very long time because you do have to wait for the sticks to dry, and the best way to do this is over several weeks so that you don't get frustrated trying to rush this process if you do decide to try it out. Having a mixture of different size rubber bands was extremely helpful. After it was on to the horse, I decided to cover it in a layer of Mod Podge to try and stick all the pieces together. This is because I realized I needed to paint the masking tape underneath in order to make it look like it was hollow. I knew that I couldn't make it hollow by itself. I needed to keep the form underneath all of the wood, so I did need to remove those pieces and then paint the body completely black and then put the wood back on it. This was my first mistake, but it really didn't take that much time off of my project because I knew I could just take them off and then glue them back on once the entire horse was painted. To give you a little research history behind this project, I did try and Google how big is the Trojan horse, and I found 3 or 4 different answers on Google. These results ranged from people saying that it was 80 feet tall to 25 feet tall to even 13 or 14 feet tall. After watching a PBS special that I found, which I will link in the description below if you are interested in checking it out and if I can find it again, I do believe that it was more along the lines of 13 or 14 feet tall. So this Trojan horse that I am building is, I believe, 14 inches tall, so it is a 12th scale replica. The reason I believe that the 13 or 14 feet estimate is more accurate is because of the entire point behind the Trojan horse. The idea was that the city of Troy was heavily defeating the Greeks, so the Greeks wanted to trick the Trojans. What they did was they created a horse, and the horse was the symbol of the city of Troy. What the Trojans didn't know is that they had hidden Greek soldiers inside the horse. They wanted the Trojans to come down out of their fortified city, take the horse back through their gates. Then the Greek soldiers would be able to get out of the horse in the middle of the night while they were all sleeping, open the gates, and let the remainder of the Greek army in to the city. For the 80-foot tall estimate, they also estimate that about 60 Greek soldiers could fit inside of that Trojan horse. Now remember, this is a time before cranes or cars or anything that could lug something that large. Plus they had to get up an embankment, up the beach, and in through city gates. I very highly doubt that the Greeks would go to such an extent to create this plan and then build a horse that was too large for the Trojans to even get it inside the city. Also, if their plan was truly just to open the gates, they shouldn't need 60 men to do that. 3 or 4 would do fine, which should totally fit inside of a 14-foot tall Trojan horse. As you can see from the video, once I got the belly shape done with the wood, I went ahead and opened up the inside to create the cavity for the Greek soldiers. I wanted to make sure that it was hidden, so I took the piece that I created previously, cut it in half, and made it into a flap or door that could easily open and let the soldiers out. Another thing I was thinking while researching this project is, how did these soldiers, far from home, living on a beach, how were they able to make such a complicated shape and structure while they were in the middle of war? And what I found from my research is that the Greeks, because Greece is an island, were very skilled boat craftsmen. So they would have built the structure of the Trojan horse much like they would have built their boats. And most likely all of them had boat building skills, and maybe even built boats while they were there during the war. This war lasted quite a long time. So they could have been building parts of this horse all along and then put it together towards the end when they decided to pull this little trick on the Trojans. I think they probably had a more sneaky way of hiding the entrance to their horse than I did, but in the end I liked how it came together. After I was done with all the curvy parts, I just started adding straight planks onto the horse. This is when things kind of sped up. I didn't have to wait for them to dry, and I started using hot glue, which meant that I could go at a faster speed. To speak a little bit more about the contest that I created this for, of course I was a little disappointed that I did not win. I entered 2 miniature contests this year and did not win either one. But I wanted to encourage you guys to enter contests, not for the possibility of winning or getting something, but it does stretch you creatively and it makes you try new things that you've never done before, and that's definitely what this project did for me. Now that laying the wood down is finished, I also made sure and put wood on the inside where the men would be sitting. I'm going to use some brown paint mixed with a little bit of water to act as a stain. Mixing it with the water also helps it get down in between the cracks and get the sides of the pieces of wood so that it's completely painted brown. I also made this base. It is actually made out of foam board, and then I did the same technique of covering it with the pieces of wood to make it look like it is a wood platform. Next, I added some round circular pieces to be the wheels. They are not actually functional. And then to make it look like the horse was actually attached to the foam board, because it did warp just a little bit while I was working on it, I used the short pieces to make it look like hooves and also like the pieces were attached to each other. After that was done, I added a few more layers of paint. This is a lighter wash, and then I added also a darker wash of some dark brown mixed with black paint. And I don't show you this part, but I also did a white wash to make it look aged. Of course, this is near the sea, so there's going to be some sea salt that's gotten onto the wood. Lastly, I added a little bit of rope around the face of the horse, around the legs, and then I don't show you this, but I do braid some rope and add it to the shields that I will show you how I made in just a second. But I do think adding the rope, especially around the legs, also adds to the thought of this being made like a boat would be made back then. I also made some shields to put on the outside of the horse to give it more of a military look, or these could have been shields left behind by the Greeks that they just added to decorate the horse, also to make it more enticing to the Trojans. This is cardstock, and I just kind of bent it into a rounded shape. I painted it in gray. You can see me adding some decoration to the edges with Sharpie, and I just did a little research on some Greek shields, what they might have looked like. Then I topped it off with some silver and bronze paint. I'm also taking a silver gel pen, and I'm going around making what looks like nail heads along any place I think they would have been nailing in the wood planks. This is just another little piece of detail that goes in to give it a more realistic look. The shields are just put on with hot glue, and then later on I will braid some rope and then put it around from shield to shield to again further that military look. So that's it, guys. That's my Trojan Horse build. I hope you enjoyed it. I really do love this little project, and I kind of want to make a little little Greek hero to go with him. I don't know. We'll see what the future holds for this guy. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!
Okay guys, it's time. We gotta get to the gates.
Ow, you're stepping on my foot.
Everyone focus. Okay, shh, don't make any noises. Hey, look, someone was making s'mores.
Oh, I want s'mores.
Did you not hear me say shh?